Hi, this is Krista at The Secret Yarnery. Today I'm going to show you how to make this super cute mitered granny square. You can join these granny squares in a lot of different ways to make a lot of cool patterns. Any which way you want to join them up, the possibilities are endless. If you'd like to follow along with a written pattern, it's available over on my website, secretyarnery.com. To make this mitered granny square, you will need yarn, one color for each 2 rows of your granny square, so I'm using 4 different colors. This is just regular worsted weight acrylic. I'll link some great options in the description box down below, but you can use scraps of whatever yarn you want to use. You can also use as many colors as you like and make your granny square any size that you want it to be. I will be using a 6mm crochet hook, but you can use whatever hook goes along with your yarn, just whatever's suggested on your yarn label. You'll also need a pair of scissors and a needle for sewing in your ends. So let's get started. So we're going to start by making a slip knot any which way you normally do, shrinking that down and popping it onto your hook, and doing a chain 3. 1, 2, and 3. If you want to start with a magic ring, you are welcome to do that. Now we're going to slip stitch into the very first chain we made right here, right on top of our slip knot. So just pop your hook into that very first chain you made. Now we want to get ourselves situated. We want to make a little U shape underneath our hook with our tail going along our work. So get yourself arranged and hold that center of that U shape open with your finger and thumb. So just hold it open and slip stitch to join. So grab your yarn and bring it through to form a ring, still holding it open, and chain 3. 1, 2, and 3. Wrap your yarn and into the very center of that ring, right where you're holding it open with your finger and thumb, 2 double crochets. 1 and 2. Now you can let go of that ring. We have it held open with those double crochets. Our chain counts as our first double crochet, so that counts as 3 double crochets completed. Chain 2, 1 and 2, and into the center of that ring, wrap your yarn and 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. Like that. Chain 2, 1 and 2. Keep holding that tail along your work so we can keep working over it. Wrap your yarn and 3 more double crochets into the center of that ring. 1, 2, and 3. To get some more space around our ring, grab that starting chain, those first stitches you made, grab your last stitches you made, and just slide those new stitches back. That'll give you some more room along that ring so our stitches can lay down nice and flat. Chain 2, 1 and 2, and 3 more double crochets into the center of the ring, taking care to go over your tail. So there's 1, 2, and 3. Chain 2, 1 and 2. Now we're going to slip stitch to the top of that chain 3 to join. We're going to slip stitch right there, and we want to get 2 strands of that stitch on the top of your hook. So pop your hook in, 2 strands of the stitch on the top of your hook, and slip stitch to join. Chain 1 to secure your yarn. Cut your yarn, leaving a long enough tail to sew in with a needle later. Pull your hook up and your yarn through and snug that down to secure. And that finishes round 1.
Have you subscribed to this channel? Go ahead and hit this button under this video right now so you don't miss out on any more fun stuff just like this.
Now to start rows 2 and 3, grab your next color of yarn. And we want to turn our work. So look for your pretty little V's. They're a nice little border here along the edge. Your pretty little V's are facing up. That is the front of your work. You want to be working into the back of your work. You want to be looking for these little macaronis just along here. So into the back of your work, pop your hook in. Any corner space is fine. Loop of your new color on your hook, long enough tail to sew in with a needle later. Bring it through and slip stitch with both strands to join. Drop your tail, just holding it along the top of your work. And chain 2. 1 and 2. Into that same corner space, 2 double crochets. 1 and 2. Now we're going to jump right over into the next corner space. I'm just going to hold that tail along the corner of my work. I'm going to put my yarn after that knot, after that chain 1. Just like that, make 3 double crochets into that space. 1, 2, 3. Slide those stitches back to give yourself some more room in that corner space. Chain 2, 1 and 2, and 3 more double crochets into the same corner space. 1, 2, and your last one, 3. Into the next corner space, 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. Now to do row 3, chain 3, 1, 2, and 3. Turn your work, and into this first space, right there, we're going to do 3 double crochets. So wrap your yarn and 3 double crochets into that very first space. 1, 2, and 3. Into the corner space, we're going to do a corner. Corners are 3 double crochets, chain 2, and 3 double crochets all into the same corner space. So there's 1, 2, and 3. Chain 2, 1, and 2. Wrap your yarn, and into that same corner space, you can slide those stitches back if you need some more room. 3 double crochets to finish that corner. 1, 2, and 3. Into the space along the side, 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. And to finish off our color, we're going to make 1 double crochet into the top of that chain 3, 2 strands of that stitch on the top of our hook. So you can look for your double crochets, 1 and 2, just follow those posts up, and there is your double crochet at the top. We want to go into that chain, top of the chain 3, right there. So wrap your yarn into the top of the chain 3, 2 strands of that chain on the top of your hook, 1 double crochet to finish, and chain 1. Cut your yarn, leaving a long enough tail to sew in with a needle later. Pull your hook up and your yarn through and snug that down to secure. And that finishes the green color and row 3. To start row 4, or the blue color, turn your work. We're going to hold this tail along the top of our work. Just like that. Pop your hook into that very first space right along the edge. Grab a loop of your new color yarn, put that loop onto your hook, bring it through, and slip stitch with both strands to join. Drop your tail. You can hold it along with the other tails. You have 2 tails we're going to work over, and chain 2. 1 and 2. If you join your yarn in a different way, you're going to want to do a chain 3. Wrap your yarn and 2 more double crochets into that same spot, into that same space. 1 and 2. Drop your tails and into the space along the side, the very next space, 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. And into the corner space, we're going to do a corner, 3 double crochets, chain 2, and 3 double crochets, all into that same corner space. So 3 double crochets, 1, 2, and 3, chain 2, grab your square, grab your stitches and slide those stitches back to give yourself some more space. You want your double crochets to lay nice and flat along in that corner, and 3 more double crochets into the same corner space. 1, 2, and 3. Into the space along the side, 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. And into this last space along the side, 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. At the end of your row, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and turn your work. Into this very first space along the side, 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. Into the next space along the side, 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. And into the corner space, we're going to do a corner, 3 double crochets, chain 2, and 3 double crochets. So there's 1, 2, 3. Slide your stitches back to give yourself some more room. Chain 2, 1 and 2, and 3 double crochets into that same corner space. 1, 2, and 3. Into each of these spaces along the side, 3 double crochets into each. So into the first space, 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. And into the next space, 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. Now to finish off our row, into the top of that chain 3, so just here on the side, we want to put our hook in. Make sure you get 2 strands of that chain on the top of your hook. So top of the chain 3 and 2 strands of that chain on the top of your hook. So wrap your yarn, 1 double crochet into the top of that chain 3 to finish off our color. Chain 1 to secure your yarn. Cut your yarn, leaving a long enough tail to sew in with a needle later. Pull your hook up and your yarn through and snug that down to secure. So that finishes row 5 and our third color. to start round 6, our 4th color, turn your work. We always want to be working into the back. Hook into this very first space, right along the edge. We want to have our tail laying along the top of our work so we can work over it a little bit. So just hook into that space. Loop of your next color yarn on your hook. Bring it through. So slip stitch with both strands to join. Drop your tail. Hold it along the top of your work and chain 2. 1 and 2. So that counts as our first double crochet, but if you join your yarn in a different way, chain 3. Wrap your yarn and 2 double crochets into that same space. 1 and 2. Into the 2 spaces along the side, 3 double crochets into each. 1, 2, and 3. Into the next space, 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. And into your corner space, we're going to do a corner. 3 double crochets, chain 2, and 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, chain 2, and 3 double crochets into that same corner space. 1, 2, and 3. Remember, you can slide those stitches back if you need more room for your stitches to lay down nice and flat. So now you can pause the video and make 3 double crochets into each of these spaces all along this side.
If you're enjoying this video, hit that thumbs up.
So that finishes row 6. To start row 7, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and turn your work. Wrap your yarn and 3 double crochets into this very first space. 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. Into the next space, 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. And into the next space, 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. Into your corner, 3 double crochets, chain 2, and 3 double crochets. So 1, 2, and 3. Chain 2. Grab your double crochets and your last stitches, slide those to give yourself some more space in that corner for your stitches to lay nice and flat, and 3 more double crochets into the same corner space. So there's 1, 2, and here is number 3. And now you can pause the video and keep working along 3 double crochets into each of these spaces all the way along this side. At the end of our row, just look for the top of that chain 3, trace those double crochets up if you need help, and it's the one right beside. So top of the chain 3, 2 strands of that chain on the top of your hook. So wrap your yarn and 1 double crochet into the top of the chain 3 to finish off. So 1 double crochet, chain 1 to secure your yarn, cut your yarn, leaving a long enough tail to sew in with a needle later. Pull your hook up and your yarn through and snug that down to secure. Now to edge your granny square, all of these stitches along the side, those just count as regular spaces. Even though they look a little different, each of those are going to be a space. And there is your mitered granny square with a nice edge, and you can mix and match these So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial as much as I did. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and I'm waiting for you in this video right there.